Scream 2, directed again by Wes Craven. It's a sequel that started production almost immediately after the first movie was done and was released only months after, resulting in a situation where in 1997, within the span of a single calendar year, actually both the original and the sequel were available in theaters. The original Scream was still playing in January, whereas the second one was released somewhere in fall, I think, in the US, of course. The interesting piece of trivia as well is that the original script was leaked on the internet, and supposedly the writers altered the ending afterwards so that the surprise was preserved. However, in later years, they've actually come out and admitted that the leaked script contained a dummy ending anyway, never meant to be used in the actual film. Whichever version of the story you believe, in any case, during the production, the actual production when it finally started, the actors were not given the last 10 pages of the script until the very end, so that nobody knew who the killer actually was until they had to film it. And of course, it was all done in total secrecy. But anyway, like the first Scream, the film works quite well because of what it is. The original Scream was, on the one hand, a meta-commentary on the slasher genre, but on the other hand, a very competent slasher in its own right. Whereas the second one is a meta-commentary on sequels, but also a very competent sequel in its own right. It's very self-aware and tongue-in-cheek. In some aspects, it often sort of winks at the audience, saying, yes, we're perfectly aware of what we're doing here, and we're doing it because these are the rules of a sequel. But again, just like the first film, in being an observation piece, I felt it never really sacrificed its integrity in being a good film first. The plot is quite fun, the characters, who are quite charismatic, include survivors of the first movie, but also a bunch of really enjoyable newcomers. And the way it's constructed, you don't really know who the killer is this time around. At points in the movie, you can plausibly believe that one or even more of the old cast have snapped and became the villain this time. I also felt that the movie keeps you on your toes by constantly switching from one pair of characters to another, or pair or group to another, and then another, and then another, mixing them up constantly. And it's done so quickly, in so quick succession, that before you really have time to process and think about your suspicions, you already have to follow the next scene, which may cast those suspicions completely elsewhere. The set pieces are interesting and clever. I especially like the theater rehearsal scene with Ghostface among the other masked actors. And there's also real tension, helped by the fact that the film is kind of unafraid of killing off characters that you wouldn't necessarily expect could die. Now, yes, it does have some flaws, and some of them are, inherent with the genre. Like, the climax is very over the top, the premise isn't as fresh as with the first film, some of the performances are very much slasher film level, but hey, the movie knows what it is, and it embraces all of its aspects. And so, judging it for exactly that, for what it is in relation to what it was trying to be, for being a slasher sequel that also happens to be a meta commentary on sequels, I say it is good and quite enjoyable.